Are you wondering how home prices, inflation, and interest rate are affecting your overall home value? Or are they going to make the decision for you on whether you can buy or sell in today's current market? That's what we're going to dive into today, is basically go into the local market statistics and what is happening here in Tarrant County. Hi everyone, I'm Aaron Kinn, and I've been a licensed real estate agent for 21 years in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex. I've literally helped 3,000 plus homeowners buy and sell homes, and I'd love to talk to you about your home buying or selling needs. Please reach out on one of the social media channels below, or a like and subscribe to this channel. It'd mean the world to me. So today we're going to talk about home pricing and the market together. Now, this can be kind of boring because we're talking about statistics, but I'll try to make it as interesting as possible and not bore you with all the raw data and raw numbers. But realistically, we get asked all the time, do you have a crystal ball? You know, people joking that you don't have one. But actually the numbers, which I have in front of me here, are my crystal ball, because they tell me on a month-by-month basis what's happening and what the trends are, and I can kind of forecast what I think's coming. Now, we did get some good news here recently that inflation has dropped about 0.25%. Now, we know inflation and interest rates are tied together. So as we saw over the past few months with inflation soaring, what the Fed did was they raised interest rates to combat that. So they'd have to raise those rates, thereby affecting our ability to purchase as a home buyer or the ability to sell as a home seller. But that's what they had to do to affect the pricing, because the back end banks can't loan out money at 3% if inflation is at 9%. One of the good things that's happened in the market is the inflation has actually come down. So we're actually seeing interest rates coming down as well too. They were peaking out close to 8%. We're actually down now around 6.25 to 6.5%. What that means for you is you actually get more buying power as a buyer, and for a seller, you're going to start seeing the market stabilize. And I believe if they actually fall further into the fives or low fives, hopefully, we'll actually see a big upswing in the market again. It'll kind of get like that white hot market we've seen in the last few years. Now, getting into the raw numbers of what happened is we are actually stabilizing as a market. The average home price right now in Tarrant County is $350,000. Last month, $350,000. Give or take a few dollars here or there, but that's good news for us because that means we're out of this downward trend. Since June of 2022 to December, we actually were in a downward trend where every single month the home prices kept falling. Well, that's hard when you're a seller and you're having to chase the market down. Harder for a buyer because you don't know where the market's going to end up. Now that we've seen it stabilizing, it gives us a really good forecasting metric of what's going to happen here over the next couple months moving into the spring and summer. Now, looking at more numbers that are pretty impactful here is a lot of people are under the misconception that we tanked as a market last year, that you lost money if you were a seller. And that's absolutely not the case. The average home price 6 months ago, yes, was higher than it is today. But you have to remember that was right on the back side of those 3% interest rates. That's when they were just creeping up into the fours and people close 30 to 60 days after they go under contract. So that's why you see a little bit of delay in there. So if we look 6 months back, yeah, we're down a little bit. But when you go all the way back to the beginning of the year, home prices actually were $330,000 at the beginning of the year. Right now we're sitting at $350,000. So we've actually had an increase of 6%, which is realistically fantastic. We would have taken that any day of the week, any year of the year, except for the last 4 years kind of spoiled us to these double-digit returns, which we realistically have never seen in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex year over year until these last 4 or 5 years that we experienced. Next thing we'll talk about here is inventory. Now, inventory has crept up because interest rates have affected the ability for buyers to purchase, so there's less purchases happening. So homes are staying on the market just a little bit longer, so we'll kind of combine those two things together. Right now, the average days on market is 31 days. Last year at this time, it was 9 days. So you can see there's a big difference between 1 year over the next with white hot and low interest rates, and then how these higher interest rates have impacted us. Basically, homes have stayed on the market longer. You've had more competition. And so we're sitting at an inventory level of about 4,100 homes right now available in Tarrant County. Now, the reason, I'm just going to have a little aside here, the reason we're talking about Tarrant County is it is the biggest county around the suburb areas that we serve. Obviously, we serve Fort Worth and Keller and all the cities around Keller, Fort Worth, Southlake, Hurst, Euless, Bedford, North Richland Hills, you name it. You know, we basically serve all of Tarrant County, Denton, Dallas. But I like to focus on Tarrant County because it gives us the best metrics that then we can extrapolate to the other cities. Now, every city is going to be a little bit different. So if this is information that you want for, let's say, Keller or Southlake, just email me or message me and I can get you this exact data for there. It's just I can't shoot 30 plus videos of every single market that we service, but I can definitely help you and get you the data that you need so that you can make the best decisions, whether you're buying, selling, or just want to know what your overall value and what the market's doing. But Tarrant County is a good place to start because it is the biggest county. It's going to have the most sales, and we're going to get the best averages in there and median prices. So inventory's up about 115% more than last year. So again, if inventory's up, it makes sense that days on market is up. It also makes sense that our months of inventory are up. Now, why do we talk about months of inventory versus just inventory? Months of inventory is very important because it tells us sales pressure or sales acceleration. So in the 2021, the end of 2021, we were sitting at like 0.7 months of inventory, meaning the amount of homes that were available, if no other homes listed, they would sell within basically 20 some odd days. Right now we're sitting at 2.3 months. Anything under 3 months of inventory is still a seller's market. When we get to about 3 to 5 months, then we're in what's called a balanced market. And I said at the beginning of this video, we're moving into a more balanced market. And that's very evident here now that we're sitting at 2.3 months of inventory. If you go over 5 months of inventory, some say 6, then you're in a predominantly buyer's market. That's where there's super pressure on prices. You've got long days on market, a lot of price reductions. Your list to sales price ratios really go in the tank, like in the lower 90s on an average. Right now we're sitting at 96.8%. Is what we saw in November. Sorry about that. It was in November, and 95.8% this past month. So we actually saw a 1% tick down from November to December. But we're actually starting to see that kind of flattening out. So if we go on like the 15-day or the weekly cycle, those numbers are almost identical. What will happen is as more buyers start coming into the market, we're going to see those numbers start to creep up again. And I think we'll see more buyers come into the market as interest rates continue to fall. Hopefully they do. But that's kind of what everyone is forecasting, from economists to people that want to give you the real truth of what's happening, not just the sensationalized stuff that you can see in the media. So when the buyers are going to come into the market, you'll see more homes selling at a more rapid pace. Pricing will begin to balance out. Your list of sales price ratios will start to come up closer to that 100%. We've been living above 100% for the last 4 or 5 years, which is, again, absolute insanity. We haven't seen that before. So it's something that we kind of take a little bit with a grain of salt. Obviously, it helped us in those times, but we really can't compare what's happening today with what's happening then. With being in the real estate market for 20 plus years, I've seen every market you can see in this industry, from the peaks to the very, very lows, you know, back in 2008, 9, and 10. What I think we're doing is we're actually getting back more towards that seasonal market. I could almost promise you every year, besides the last 3 or 4 years, that the least amount of homes that we're going to close, we're going to be in February. You're going to see an uptick in December and January because people trying to slam those in before the end of the year, you know, wanting to move schools and things like that. And that's the exact same thing we're seeing now. It's kind of like going back in time to 2014, 2015. And it's very, very similar. And then we will start to see a swing up as we move along in January and February. And then the market will continue to improve as we get into March, the spring break season towards summer. One of the other things that I really like to look at for that data is pending sales. Why pending sales is so critical is it's going to tell you what's going to happen the next month. And I just said February is always the lowest sales month of any calendar year. One, because it has 2 to 3 less days than every other month. But the other reason is just less activity happens with people buying around the holidays. And then January, they're paying off all the debt that they incurred over the holidays. So you just see less actual purchases closing in February. And then you see a big jump in March. And I think we're about to see the same thing, because the pending sales for December is 1,324 sales were pending. The previous month there was 1,477. Last year at this time, last year in December, there's 1,823 sales. So we're about 27% below that. Again, last year wasn't seasonal because 3% interest rates. Now we're in that more seasonal, stable market. Actually, this market is better for buyers and sellers because it is more stable. You know what's happening in today's market and how you can combat that. And one of the key things to take a look at, and always as a metric of future growth, is what is inflation doing, and then how are interest rates reacting to that. Hopefully you've gained some knowledge here and I didn't just bore you to death, but hopefully you can put some of this to play. I would love to show you, if you own a home and you want to know exactly what your home's worth in today's market and what's happening today in your exact city, just shoot me an email, send me a message or a comment here, and I'll be glad to send that off to you. But it would mean the world if you would like and subscribe this video to help my channel grow, and so we can reach more people and give them real information about what's happening in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex. Hope you have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon.